Hi everybody, welcome back to Commonwealth. Flipper, we're headed to the cabin today. So there was a comment the other day, and then I got sent a message the other day, and it was something I initially thought, it probably doesn't really apply to me. But then the more and more I read it, I said, man, this might apply to all of us someday, and maybe someday soon, which really, really stinks. This blows my mind. And when I started to really think about it, it blew my mind even further. I can't wait to talk about it. We got a bunch of sales. Let's go take a look. This is a topic that intrigues the heck out of me, but I do have 30 sales. I'm going to get to it really quickly, though. Like, really quickly. Like, I might just pull this awesome Tupperware here. Fall colors Tupperware. I posted this on Facebook yesterday when it sold, 2 days ago, or whenever the heck it was. We've got 30 sales, at least, headed out of here. That's the last time I looked. This is not a huge sale. It sold for $12.95 plus shipping. They come with coasters. Normally, 4, I think, is a full set. I can't really remember for that one, but I paid $1 for it out of sale, and I'm like, sure, what the heck. $1 into $12.95 plus shipping. Super quick, super easy to ship. As you know, I don't really like to be the first one talking about something, and I didn't think I would be on this one, and I actually just saw a video pop on it as well. I actually have a couple, not disagreements. I actually agree with everything that was said in there, but a couple more thoughts I want to add to this. And I think that this is, it's crazy. And when I get to the extra part that I'm talking about in a minute, you'll know what I'm talking about. Let me read this first here. Beginning on October 1st, 2025, the Texas Comptroller will require marketplace facilitators like Amazon and Etsy, and you can include eBay and whatever other marketplace in there, to charge and collect sales tax on the commission fees that they charge to Texas-based sellers. This change is a result of new regulations classifying marketplace seller fees as taxable for the company itself, which means they have to collect the sales tax. And who pays the sales tax? The person purchasing the service in this case, which is using, let's say, eBay to sell your stuff. So we are going to be paying it. I say we because I really believe that this is the kind of stuff that happens, y'all. It starts in one place. Matter of fact, I made a video talking about it in Washington State. It's been a while, actually. This is the kind of stuff that migrates from state to state. This is, like I said, this is the kind of topic that would get me into some serious trouble because I would get into some political ideology here as far as taxation goes that I have. Well, I'll say this before we get into this topic. I usually don't dive into politics because I would tick off both sides, I promise you. I think about things quite a bit differently. Maybe I'll touch on a little bit of that. That's not the point of this video. But going back to that point, if one state does, it's like Washington State and Texas aren't exactly in bed together, politically, if you know what I'm saying. And both of these states are moving this direction. So it's not a surprise to me that if you look at the macro picture here, more and more sales are coming online, being delivered to homes and all that. And so sales tax, brick and mortar. You guys probably could remember back when, eBay, you didn't get the sales tax at all. That's a fairly new thing. Unless, I've been selling for 25 years. There didn't used to be a sales tax charged to the buyer. And that has changed. Well, now there is going to be a tax on the fee that you're paying eBay, and you have to pay the tax on the fee that you're paying them. So we're adding some complexity to this. Just for clarity's sake here, we are talking about Texas right now. So this is definitely going to affect you guys really, really quickly, like next week. And I imagine eBay's going to take care of this stuff as far as how they operate. But I think, for those that say, what can you do about it? I think there's one thing. There's certainly more than one, but there's one thing that comes to mind. This is a Gorham Greenbrier silver butter knife spreader or something like that. Sold for $24. I've been selling silver lately. Made a $300 purchase of silver. I think today, with a sale a little bit later in this video, we'll finally be in the black, and we have quite a bit left, so we did okay. Let me diverge at the sake of making this video too long for just a second, just to give you, I'll throw in a little bit of opinion, I guess. In this crazy world we're living in right now, this is pretty mundane, so I don't think I'll make too many people mad. I've always thought, because we're talking about state taxes here, state sales taxes, and then each individual area in a state also tax on their own sales taxes. Like, for instance, if I go to the Taco Bell here, I'm paying way less than if I go to the Taco Bell 30 miles away. because they have different sales tax tacked on top of that. I've always thought, this may not be a popular opinion, but when I write checks to the federal government, in taxation, that's the biggest check I write, and then to the state. And I really wish we could flip the script. I know it'll never happen. I'm pretty pragmatic about it. At least I don't think it would. Where the bulk of your taxes are to your locality, and then a little bit more, a little bit less to the state, and then a little bit less to the federal government. But that's neither here nor there. But it's because of this reason right here, competition between states, because it's a lot easier to keep your locality accountable, I guess. And same thing at the state level. It's a lot harder to make changes at the federal level, for instance. So I'm not sure that we couldn't do anything about this. People in Texas, it's not exactly the highest taxed state around, not even close. And they have different structures. And, Florida's got, really high property taxes and not high sales or wait a minute, I got the not high income taxes. And there's just all kinds of different systems. I like the fact that there's competition. It really makes it much better for people if you can decide where to move, basically. And I know I haven't really got into the details, but for those that say this isn't that big of a deal, I agree it's not something that would make me move. However, I would be well over $1,000 if I was living in Texas with my current numbers. This would cost me well over, well, maybe not well over, but I think it cost me around $1,000, which is crazy. Bows right here, I bought a whole setup of bows. This is not the best piece out of it by any stretch, right around $25 because it sold on clearance. So kind of a pain in the butt for that kind of a price, plus shipping. Just so I'm not losing anybody, and this audience is extremely intelligent, so I don't think I am. And maybe you've seen this anyways, already I should say. Let's say you sell something for $100 and your fees that are going to go to eBay are $15. They're going to be, the total price is $100, right? Shipping, all of it, everything that somebody sent you $100. And your fees, let's just for the sake of ease here, say it's 15%. So that's $15. So according to this, in Texas, and like I said, localities have different parts. Let's just say it's 7%. So what is 7% of $15? You're gonna be paying $85 extra. 85 cents extra. And my guess is eBay or whatever platform will collect it and they'll send all that stuff off. That also adds cost to eBay, by the way. Not a ton, but it does add cost. Red tape, regulation, taxation. I had a teacher once tell me, and it always stuck in my brain, it said, you get more of what you subsidize and you get less of what you tax. And I was like, that is quite a conundrum. Because, you can't exactly flip it on its head and be like, we're going to tax poor people because you're not going to collect anything. But there's an incentive at that point to not be poor, right? And then we're going to subsidize rich people. It gets whatever. But it is true. You definitely get less of what you tax and you get more of what you subsidize. And that is something we should always keep in mind. But I looked really quickly at the highest, because this is Texas now and Washington's doing something too. It's not an accident that is Texas. I believe Washington has no income tax, state income tax. I could be wrong. I know Texas, Tennessee, Florida, places like that, no state income tax, which is a huge, huge benefit. But you got to pay, they're going to get you one way or another, right? And I'm not a huge fan of property tax because I don't want to own something that I got to pay tax on, because then it's like, do you really own the thing, right? But if you look at this, I think it's the low income tax states that will much more likely be moving in this direction, where the processing fees and all this stuff like that, they want to get the sales tax on that because that's a service and, that kind of thing. But it's no surprise, like I said, Washington, Texas, and other states that go this direction are usually touristy states as well. Like I said, Florida, Tennessee, even Louisiana, high sales tax states. And the other part of taxation, whether it's property tax or through income tax, are a little bit lower. So you got to be careful where you live to look out for this stuff and advocate for yourself in advance. Because while it's not the end of the world, who wouldn't like to have an extra $1,200 in their pocket at the end of the year? They take it out how many cents at a time, right? So it can add up really, really quickly. But I thought of something that I think a lot of people didn't quite think of. I mentioned it on the Trash Cash podcast tomorrow. In essence, when this thing goes through, unless eBay makes changes, and I think that we should ask them to make changes. We've talked about this for quite a while. we're essentially going to be paying a tax on a tax. And I'll explain what I mean in a minute. Hey, look, y'all, I got a visitor. Pepper came to visit. This is going to be, back to the topic in a second, but this is going to be an interesting day. Already got, this is Bubba's sales. This is my oldest boy's sales right there. It makes me proud. Although he should have taken them to the post office, but that's all right. Pop is gone. They're in Arizona right now. So I got to do it. Here we go. Longaberger, $34 plus shipping. Not the easiest shipper in the world, but not too hard. That's not too bad either. We have long bemoaned the fact that eBay is charging us fees on the shipping portion of our sale, which we don't do over on Dibdit, which is well, that's a side point actually, because now I find myself in the situation where I am the marketplace over there, partnership and all that. So this applies to me on that side. And of course, every platform, you're going to want to push that cost off. You're not going to want to eat it yourself. And that's really where I want to bring this point up, because I think something could be done here that would help all of us out, not just the people in Texas, but everybody. And I think would be a good gesture. I'm not holding my breath, but I certainly think it's something they should think about. eBay is charging the fees that you're paying, of course, on the shipping. And I've come to grips with that. I've said many, many times, I know it doesn't look good, but the other alternative is there's a couple. If you created, like Poshmark has now done, this flat rate and all the shipping is going through eBay as opposed to the buyer paying us and then us paying for the shipping, you could create problems as well. So I'm not really advocating for this, but this is one way they could do it, where there's a flat rate shipping charge. And that's just it. There are, like I said, there are issues with it because you can't do different styles of shipping and it's not up to us. But Poshmark has now done it. They've moved from the priority to the ground advantage, and everything below 5 pounds is this price. And so it's very possible. And if that were the case, where the shipping was already set, then they absolutely should not charge a fee on that shipping portion, because none of the money ever comes to us to begin with. They're processing it all. There's another thing I think that they could do, however, and that is the taxation of the initial sale. I'm not talking about income tax. I'm not talking about our 1099s and paying all that. I'm talking about the buyer buying that item from me paid sales tax, assuming they live in a state that has sales tax, which who doesn't have it? There's a few out there. I know Alaska does, and they don't have hardly any taxes. There's a few, Oregon, I think, and some others that are no sales tax states, so they're not paying it. Therefore, we're not paying the fee on the sales tax portion of their purchase, because right now we are. And so I started to think about this. I'm like, wait a minute. So if somebody buys something from me, they pay a sales tax, and now that sales tax is rolled into my fee, and I have to pay a sales tax on their sales tax. It's crazy. This is just mind-blowing to me, because that's essentially what's happening. If you live in Texas, I keep saying me because you never know where this stuff is going to spread. Pepper just spread underneath the desk over here. People in Texas, y'all are going to be paying taxes upon fees that were collected on taxes. That is just absolutely nuts, but that's what's happening. Halloween is coming, y'all, and I bought this not very long ago, and I have really resisted buying a lot of Halloween outfits because they sit around and I just don't sell them. But this one was super cheap, and actually I don't even know what it cost, to be honest with you, but it looked like it was brand new in that package. And it's a Mad Hatter Tea Party Hostess costume. And it sold for $24.95 plus shipping. So I'm sitting here thinking, I'm like, what could eBay do? Instead of just pass it all on to these Texas folks, what could they do? They could just say, all right, if you're in Texas, maybe we'll split the difference with you. Or maybe we'll take off the initial fee on the sales tax, and then they're not treating us like they're treating everybody else. And I like the marketplace of ideas between states. So it's kind of like that debate about I don't know what they called it, but the income tax, how much could you write off on your federal income tax from your state? And then, you were disincentivizing states from lowering taxes, which is, lowering taxes, right? Doesn't happen too much. And I just thought, no, you know what? They really, really could stop charging fees on the sales tax portion on eBay. They could do that. I think it's something that I don't think they will do it, but man, we're already paying a fee on a sales tax, Now you're going to add a sales tax on the fee that's on the portion of the sales tax. So this is a strange world we're living in. And, you know, I'm kind of guy, you know, a lot of people just kind of pass this stuff off, like that extra 10%, 10 cents they tacked on a couple of years, a half ago or 2 years ago and whatever. And I'm like, man, this stuff adds up. And then you look at how much money you can make off of interest over something on 20, 30 years. And it's like, this is real money. And I think that that's stuff we got to always pay attention to. This is a vintage Simpsons watch. Who did I buy this from? I bought this on Dibdit. Part of a bundle, and I cannot remember who I bought it from. Maybe it was, I don't know, maybe Keith, Vintage Sport Flips. Maybe it was, I don't know. I'm not sure. I don't want to say. But there's a bunch of great sellers over there. But it was a good price. And I was like, yeah, I can make money if you throw that in my box that I've already bought. And it didn't go for a ton. But I am making money on it, so that's good. This sold for $18.95 plus shipping. Speaking of Dibdit, really quick, we're going to be doing stocking stuffer shows, brand new items for stockings coming up in the coming months here, weeks, I should say, and a brand new show. So shows with only new items. This is a great place to come and buy gifts. And come on over and chat with us. So check us out, Dibdit.com. So the next question is, what can we do? What can we do? Is it even worth fighting? I always think it's worth fighting. I think of Barney Fife, nip it in the bud, right? Nip it in the bud. Start to fight early and make the arguments and make the point. I don't even know if this is right. I think they are right. 2 different Lucky Brand jeans sold to 2 different people. And that is really odd because I don't sell jeans very much anymore. 2026 and 1816 plus shipping a piece. I want to get back to the story, but I'm kind of burying the lead here. 30 sales headed out of here. By the end of this video, maybe one more. I'm not quite sure. $1,237.21. We've been busting our butts around here. Plus, we've been selling on Dibdit in there. Jess is in there right now working on that stuff. We're working on a new shipping area in there. So I can do this because I mean, 30 items doesn't take you 5 minutes to ship. It takes you a little bit of time. I'm so glad this sold right here because it's taking up a whole ton of space inside, and we are in desperate need of space to do everything we want to do here as Q4 ramps up. San Diego Chargers. I said that the other day. Turns like, San Diego Chargers? What are you talking about? Like, that's where they used to be. That I've had for quite a while, which means it went off on 30% off sale, and we still did pretty good on it. Sold for just 3 cents under $70 plus shipping. So yeah, we could talk to eBay. We could pressure eBay. There's different avenues you can contact them, and I'm doing it right here. I think that this is a change that they should make because you are, oh, the dog is in here. There's, you know, different states have different rules, and, you know, some people are getting hit harder than others, but let's face it, you're giving us a fee on a taxation. And that just seems a little bit out of line, especially because you're already collecting that fee on shipping already. So there is cost to being the one that turns in the taxes and does all that and handles it all for us. So I get that. But really, a fee on taxation is just a little bit much. And now, when we're talking about a taxation on a fee on a taxation, we're way over the line at this point. Not that I'm blaming eBay here on this, but I can tell you one thing. If we just sit back and do nothing, then nothing will ever change. Same thing with your local politicians. Start there, your state politicians. Before this stuff moves to other states, especially if you're in one of those low-income tax states that has... Oh, Poncho's doing his thing in here. You're in those low-income... I can't concentrate. Sorry. We got to help Poncho out. Wallen was being a good boy on the porch right there. So I took a treat and I gave one to each of them. And now Poncho's gone. We'll invite him back in a little bit. But, you know, the old school, talk to your politician. People are like, yeah, it doesn't work. Let me tell you, politicians need support. And sometimes you get in their ear early. Like I said, if you lived in one of these high sales taxation states, low-income tax states, they'll be talking about this. Any way you can, you know, figure out more ways to get more money, they're going to figure it out. And before they get in the back pocket of the special interests, put the bug in their ear early and tell them, hey, this is what Texas just did. Is this going to come here? We don't want this. This is hurting our business, you know, whatever. I guarantee you it's not going to work. If you never do anything, nothing's going to ever change. So we do have some power. So I'm not just, you know, this isn't worth, you know, having a big campaign and a march or whatever. Not saying that. But a phone call never, ever hurts. There's Wallen out here being a good boy, aren't you? You probably won't even follow me in. This shirt right here, it's an awesome shirt. Used to be able to get a little bit more money, but Not quite so much anymore. Large sports image, single stitch Dale shirt. It has got a little crackling to it, whatever, which doesn't necessarily take a lot of the money away from it. 1994, but it is single stitch. I still have a sticker on there. I wonder where that came from. Maybe that's what I paid for it. If it is, I made money. $16.07. It sold on 30% off. So still not too bad, plus shipping. If there's one thing 21 years in teaching taught me, and there was many, it was that the squeaky wheel truly did get the grease. And there is no doubt about that. Whether that be a student or a teacher or a parent, you know, people in charge, they don't want to hear, they want to just put things away, pass the buck, push things off. And if you know, I'm not saying cause a scene, but I saw it all the time. People would get in there and get their way on stuff that they absolutely should not have got their way on because somebody didn't want to deal with it. Didn't want to make the argument in reverse, right? And so that's really encouraged me to, you know, from time to time, do different things that really could affect change. And I know there are a lot of resellers in Texas. I know many of you, and content creators out there as well. So I imagine you'll be seeing more about this. There's a delay in my videos coming out a couple days, so probably we'll see some before you see this. But so far I haven't heard anybody mention the fact that you're paying a tax on a fee that partially includes another tax. So here we go. These are, what do they call these? How come I can't remember? Clark's, is that what they're called? I picked these up in Tennessee, speaking of Tennessee, at Ray Nashville Flippers meetup event, which was really awesome. I hope to go back next year. 42, I paid next to nothing, y'all. That was the cheapest sale ever. And these sold for $42.70 plus shipping. I bet you I didn't pay more than a couple bucks for those. Speaking of content creators in Texas, you know, one of the things we do is we have affiliate links. I talk about them all the time, you know, American Bubble Boy and My Go-To Tape, code Commonwealth 5% and all that. But, and list Eeasier, which I don't have their hat on. I did earlier today. Code Commonwealth. You can find that below. You can find them all at commonwealthpicker.com. My point is that I was thinking about that and the fee that I would get paid. Like, for instance, if you go buy bubble wrap in that link, I get a couple of bucks, which is awesome. Thank you, Joel. And the fee on that does not apply to this, which I think is really interesting. So on referral fees, you don't got to pay that tax, but on a fee to use a service on a platform like eBay, you do. So there's a lot of stuff going in the weeds right here. But there's one thing that I think is encouraging in all this. The trends, the macro trends keep moving in our direction. And there's ups and downs and you don't always see the benefit, but this world has really become a place where when you want to buy something, you don't go get in your car and you go buy it as much anymore. And it's been trending that way for 2 decades. And that trend, I think, will continue. I think you'll see aberrations and different trends going on at different times with different generations, but there's no doubt. I just went and bought a bunch of stuff for that shipping thing in there, the little shipping area, and only one of them I physically went out and bought. The rest I bought online and got sent here. It is also why I got involved in Dibby.com, and I just think the convenience of shopping has just changed so much. Live selling, and like I said, I'm going to buy my Christmas gifts over there. Brand new items. Crazy. And vintage stuff. I like to buy vintage stuff for my brother. So this one was the throw-in. A little apple with a little worm in it. Good for a teacher, I suppose. This one went on 30% off, so it sold for $6 plus shipping. Now, I probably paid 50 cents for it, so I'm making money, but not exactly worth the time. But it is super easy, and you're not going to break it. What an absolutely gorgeous day it is out here today. Turner had a game tonight, and they canceled it because it's been raining. He couldn't have played it anyways. He broke his thumb. What are you doing, boys? You want to come in? I'll give you a treat. Come on. You want to come in? Sold a bread box. Getting rid of big, bulky items today, which is awesome. 1, 2, 3, 4 different items that were in that shed. We're trying to make, or in the shed, in the eBay cave, trying to make that new shipping area. I put it on the last video. I might show it to you before we're done here. Still got a lot of work to do. That bread box right there, not perfect, but pretty darn cool. Finally sold, but it was 30% off. Sold for $52, 47 cents plus shipping. A lot of people would shy away from that, but it's going to fit in one of those boxes down there just fine. A little bit of padding, and it's really not that hard. I'll take that. Got 2 different hats that sold to 2 different people. Thought I'd get them at the same time. I'm happy this hat is finally gone. This one right here is a Wrangler. These hats can go for decent money, y'all. Little old style Wrangler right there. That one sold for $40. This was 30% off. Still sold for $42 plus shipping. Not the easiest to package, but still. I mean, it was dirt cheap, so I'm happy. And this is one of the List Easier hats. We are inching closer to creating the system to really go hardcore on List Easier. Down there, code Commonwealth. You can check it out. If it's, I'm trying to get to 500, y'all. They just will do 1,000 listings. And I'm like, man, that's just high for a lot of people. It's still amazing for me. No INADs yet at all, so I'm super happy with that. And Georgia 47 brand, that one sold for $24 plus shipping. And the Bible sold. The Bible on CD, James Earl Jones. Nothing like Darth Vader reading you the Bible every night. Murphy breathes like that. I've heard some, I haven't been selling a ton of Bibles. I don't have a ton, but I've heard for some folks that they're selling a bunch these days. Here we go. That one, I put a good price on it because I've been putting good prices on things I'm just listing. $29.95 for that one, plus shipping. So can't beat that. I bought it at a sale. Man, was that a year and a half ago or just half a year ago? Finally got it listed. Not in perfect condition. Still sold, and it sold quickly. $30 plus shipping. I still have so many cool items to show you, but I'm going to cut in really quick. Where are they? I don't know where my Enemy are. Do I need to go? Oh, here it is, right here. Celestine. Celestial Times bought this. We haven't mentioned a viewer sale, and there's some that may be in here, but nobody wrote a message. I think there was just 1 out of 30, one message. But I know, I'm 99% sure this is a viewer sale. And there's one other item that sold that is as well. And then one. So maybe 3 viewer sales that I know of today, and maybe a few more out of 30. Fleet and a Man right here. This one is headed out to Celestial Times. We appreciate you, and I hope it gets things moving for you. Let me just jump ahead to the next one too. That is a viewer sale, so I get them all out of the way here. Look at that. They're already picked. And this one went to Ordy. You may remember me selling this before. It was returned. It's one of those I changed my minds. And Ordy says, I'm happy. She says, yes, I love toys. Thanks, Mr. Kevin. $15.99 for some Galoob micro machines plus shipping. Going back to that silver, which puts us in the black right here. And by the way, you can, if you ever pay attention to interest rates and the Fed and all that, like I do, just because I'm an old history teacher, I always pay attention, because when you see those interest rates drop, you usually see an increase. Man, that stinks. Now I got nothing to put them in. I have to get a mug or something. Here, let's put them all in here. Where's that thing? I'll put them all right here. Whoop. Throwing around silver. You see gold and silver prices usually go up a little bit. This one I decided I would put it on auction. I think it's an awesome, it's antique, it's really old coin silver cut, but you can see there's kind of imperfections in it. You see all that? And it still is awesome. Great craftsmanship. So I decided I would put it out on auction and let the bidders decide how much they wanted to pay for it. And they paid $132.50 plus shipping. Well, they didn't pay that. One person did, but you get the point. Plus shipping. All right, I lied to you. There is one more viewer sale. So 4 out of 30. And it is this one right here. And I do not remember buying this one. Cameras can hang around for a long time sometimes. I just don't remember buying that one. But it's pretty cool. It is King Regula camera. Turner's out here. Hey, Turner, come in here, bud. Say hi to everybody. I don't know. I don't need to show it to you, I suppose. So for $22.80 plus shipping, and I'll read the comment in a second. Look at this guy. No. Look at him. Crazy. I'm trying to convince him.
Nope.
Yep. Come on. A gamer, it's just rub a little dirt on it.
They said not to.
I know what they said. But I could find you a big giant softball glove. I could cut out the thumb part, and you could pitch. No. This is your pitching arm.
No. They
Why
said
not?
To.
Are you going to let your team down? I don't know if Mom would let him anyways. Just give him 2 weeks without baseball, and he'll be like, yeah, let's do it. Anyway, we love to work. He busted just a fracture right across his knuckle. It's too bad. We love to work. We love the work you do on your channel, Kevin. Keep up the great work and finding things to remind us of our childhood. Thank you, Joe, Billy. Oh, wait, Joe, Billy Joe, and Gavin. Thank you guys so much. Appreciate it. I'm going to have to bump that up to 5 because this is Crosley Field and they buy from us. And it says repeat buyer, so 5 out of 30. Keeps going up. So I appreciate all the support. Thank y'all. This is a pig and a poke right here. I remember having this Chick-fil-A cow. Oh, sweet. It is here. I was so hoping. And I remember it fell back one day, and I'm like, I've got to remember that that cow right there is there, and it is. And I know people yell at me for not having a SKU system, but I really, truly do remember where stuff is. I don't know what it is. I can't remember birth dates. I can't remember phone numbers. I can't remember all kinds of stuff. Anniversaries. Sorry, Blue's mama. But if it's visual or audio, I can pretty much remember. Every once in a blue moon, I can. $13.96 plus shipping. Turn these out here, throwing a tennis ball. See? All I could do is just put that little glove. He's feeling that right-handed, for goodness sake. This next sale, and by the way, I reminded myself of getting on Josh over there for List Easier to get that $500 level instead of a $500 listing level for List Easier. And I just got a message from him. So there you go. I was putting some pressure on him. Woodwick Fig. I remember selling, I saw this at a table. It was like $1 or $2. I can't remember. And I remember selling a bunch for a long, long time out of that bin back there that I picked up at a yard sale. And they did really well. And I was like, fig, that should be good. And I just grabbed it for whatever, $1 or $2. $22.95 plus shipping. And it sold super quick. And it smells pretty good. I hope you know by now that if I work with folks, it scared me. I thought there was a cat here. I just saw my shadow go past in that box. I was like, what? There's a cat in here? Anyway, Josh, I love this product. I'm trying not to pump it too hard, to be perfectly honest with you, because it's a lot of money for some folks. We do have a code, $30 off, and it may not be right for everybody, but I have been asking all the time. I just sent another message. I reminded myself of it. I'm like, how about that 500 at listing level? And not that I like to read your messages out loud, but it's coming. We're working on it. So we shall see. Honestly, I know people who start at the 1,000 level and have sent me messages like, I'm upgrading. I'm like, really? Like, how in the world? I can't imagine listing 2,000 things in a month. It just blows my mind. This is a weird sale. Matter of fact, both of these just sold. I just realized that. This is like the inside of a bell. And that little thing right there, believe it or not, sold for $18 plus shipping. Who would have thought that? Got to go out to the other cabin to grab something really quick. I'll take you with me because I really want to say this. See you, Jess. 10:30. I appreciate you more than you know. Jess was here today because we did live sales and she's got it all done, so she's headed out of here. So, you know me, I don't like to pressure people and spend people's money for them unless it's right for them. So you're going to be, I just guarantee you're going to be hearing more and more about List Easier just simply because of the reaction I'm getting from some folks. So if it's ever right for you, it may not ever be right for you. But if it is, just remember that $30 off is down there if you use code Commonwealth. So. Also, List Perfectly, they announced that they're integrating Whatnot as well. And we have that link down there as well. I came in here to get that castle up there, but I noticed this thing's getting a little loose. I might have to fix that. Castle Gray Skull. We sold that one for like $500 or whatever it was, but this is the original, and these don't go for near as much, and they're a pain in the butt to ship. I knew I was going to run out of space in here today. This is only $34.95 plus shipping, so not amazing. But man, it's Castle Gray Skull. Sold an ET right here. Love that. Look at that. ET, and right behind him is ET. That one sold pretty good. This one's like, I don't even know what you want to call it. Puppet action toy with glow-in-the-dark chest, eyes, and finger. 1996, so it's not original to the era, but it's still pretty cool. And it's definitely vintage. That one sold for $39 plus shipping. And now I'm reminded of one more thing I want to mention today, and I still got more to pick, y'all. This was a heck of a day of sales. Georgia Bulldogs, Nike Dry Fit, size XL. This stuff still sells, y'all. It's plain Jane, easy to miss. Definitely worth picking up at a garage sale. You know, if you're gonna pay $8 or something at a thrift store, I wouldn't do it. But at a garage sale for $1, of course, I picked that up at Peaches to Beaches for $1, along with a bunch of stuff like that. And it sold for $20 plus shipping, so not too bad. We're still not done. This is gonna be a bear to ship. There's some tough stuff and a bunch of stuff. Columbia snow boots. And I couldn't believe how cheap I got these. I don't remember what the price was, but I'm like, yeah, I'll snatch them up. Columbia waterproof snow boots, $45 plus shipping. Sold another Harley belt, and there should only be a couple of these left, at least at this size. I'm thinking that's it right there. But they're different sizes, so I'm gonna have to pull these out, but you get an idea of what this one looks like. And there's a few different sizes left, but only one of these, and it sold for $21 plus shipping. This is the bottom of a fairy lamp, and it's Indiana glass. And I just put it out there cheap. I'm like, I don't know who wants the bottom, but put it out there cheap, and it sold very quickly. Maybe I shouldn't have put it out so cheap. I don't know, $9.95, $9.99. What did I sell this for? $9.95 plus shipping. So I'll take it. I was so hoping for one more sale to come through before the end of this video, and it never did. But I brought these in. They used to be inside. Like, I don't even have anywhere to put them. But we're getting down there, and this is the time of year they start to sell. And this is not one that I thought would sell. Let me find the right one. Here we go. These, no, I paid literally less than a penny a piece for these. This is the one that sold. I love this one. It reminds me of the, whoa, reminds me of the one that I have hanging over here. A little different, of course. But something to be said about relaxing and young love and all that stuff. Look, they're poor. Not much money there. Got a worm sticking out there, and they're happy. Contentment is key. 30% off. So we're selling this for $5.59 plus shipping, and I put it in a record box, which cost my. I'm not making much money on these, but I have made a bunch in the past, and we sold through when COVID. We had these forever. When COVID and they had the doctor with the shot, those things sold like crazy, and we made good money on them. But this is. Do we have not any of the Christmas ones anymore either? I mean, this is Christmas, but I mean the one that people think is for Thanksgiving. There, no, I think those are all gone. Oh well. So we've sold out of 2 different types at this point. That's all we got left. That's classic Christmas. All right, Reagan is at practice. I haven't even looked to see if there's any sales from CommonwealthPicker.com, but I did shill a bunch today, so if you are ever interested in any of those things, there's usually a discount on all of them. You can go to CommonwealthPicker.com and check all those out. So I appreciate you for stopping by. And let me know what you think of today's video, and let me know how your Q4, right before your Q4 starts, let me know how it goes. And I appreciate you, and I can't wait to see you next.